moving to the Northern Virginia suburbs of Washington, D.C., and everyone you've talked to who knows anything about the area is telling you that Vienna and McLean are the place to be. But then you checked those prices. If you can't afford the $1.4 million average sales price in Vienna of homes in the last 365 days, or the $2.6 million average in McLean, where is the next best place to live? You know what? I'm going to tell you where to look. I'm going to show you all the great places. All right, so I'm Melissa Terzis, DC Real Estate Mama. There's nobody doing videos like this in the DC area, so we are out of the streets. I'm showing you exactly what it's like here. I know DC, Maryland, and Northern Virginia inside and out, and I'm going to go deeper than anybody. So I put all the information together. We do this all ourselves. There's no AI here, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the new video. Now let's dig into Northern Virginia and the suburbs. So I want to start with the great news. If you can't afford what people are touting as the best places in the fancy suburbs like McLean and Vienna, you do not have to settle, not at all. And I'm not just telling you this, because believe me, ladies and gents, I work on commission and I would have zero problem selling you a $3 million McLean home. But the truth is, we can get you into a great home in the metro area for less than a third of that price. So let's talk about it. Now, I'll tell you about the places in Northern Virginia where you can find great schools, commutable distance to employment centers, and a sense of community, and more. You're also going to have your affordable homes there. Just because Vienna and McLean are out of reach, it does not mean that you're relegated to places like, oh, that unnamed Florida Facebook group that I can't seem to get enough of. Oh, God. Where one of the recent comments said, JFC people, that's Jesus fucking Christ for those of you who don't know. What is it with you people from this trailer park? I mean, I did kind of laugh. All right, so let's talk about the places that you should consider moving. Number one is Oakton. So Oakton is right next to Vienna. The average price for all of Oakton in the past year was $1.3 million. I know. I just blew your mind out the gate because Vienna's average is 1.4. But here's what you need to know. Some of the neighborhoods in Oakton have much bigger lots, and that's what's bringing this average price up. There are a lot of these outlier kind of houses that sell for big money, but there's also a ton of homes here under 1 million, and they are also more walkable than those homes on the large lots. So Oakton seems to be a bargain compared to Vienna and McLean. Now, what some people don't love about Oakton are the age of the homes. And so they may go a bit further to the west to the parts of Herndon and Oak Hill that still feed to Oakton High School. So that's going to be, for those of you paying attention and writing this down, zip codes 20171. If you want a large lot, larger than what you might get in Vienna or even some parts of McLean, then you want to look at zip code 22124, and that's where you should focus. Another bonus of Oakton, it can actually be easier to get to the Vienna metro station than it can if you live in Vienna, but you're on the other side of Maple Avenue. So keep that in mind. So next up is Burke. If you have little kids, Burke is fantastic. There are tons of playgrounds and walking trails. The average price in Burke for the last 365 days of houses, $893,000. Schools are awesome and people love the sense of community. Now, it's not often on the radar for people who are moving here from the other area, but it's a place that either people find out about or they make their way to after they sort of check out other areas with the more recognizable names. Burke is 20 minutes southwest of Washington, D.C. Maybe a little bit tougher on the commute, but not terrible. But the house and the lifestyle that you're going to get is fantastic. Adjacent to Burke is West Springfield. So this is situated right next to Burke. West Springfield, another popular area with families for its affordability and its sense of community. There's people who've left Vienna and they purchase in Burke and West Springfield, and they actually report that they prefer it. What they say is that it's down to earth. Schools are great, and the houses cost half of what you would pay in McLean or Vienna, maybe even less than half. So the average price for the last year runs neck and neck with Burke at $889,000 here in West Springfield. Now, single family homes inbounds for West Springfield High sell fast. You can get a decently large home and lot for the area and a desirable neighborhood. So there's so little inventory, though, that even the average stuff is flying off the market, provided it doesn't have any major issues. So we often excel as real estate agents when we go to these areas too, because we've been so schooled in this heavy competition that happens in the closer in areas in DC for so many years, that when we take these like skills to an adjacent market and approach the offer process with that same level of like determination and ambition, we end up really securing something great for our clients in less time than other people might. So just kind of keep that in mind. Next up is Fairfax City. So people love being in Fairfax City. It has its own downtown and events throughout the year. There's Fall Fest, there's a summer concert series, there's July 4th parade. There's a variety of housing, good schools, and it's centrally located within Northern Virginia. The average price of homes sold in the last 365 days in Fairfax City, $878,000. Next up, kind of the rest of Fairfax, not the city. So the neighborhoods in Fairfax are a mix of educated professionals, families, retirees, who are usually the ones selling their homes. The average price of the homes sold in the last year is just over $1 million. But Fairfax is pretty big, and so there's different parts of Fairfax offering different price points. In zip code 22033, the average sales price is $952,000. Zip code 22032, which is a huge part of Fairfax, actually has an average price of $905,000. Then you've got the Mantua part of Fairfax, which is zip 22031, a little closer in. Average price there, $1.15 million. After that, I would tell you, you should look at Fairfax Station. Fairfax Station used to be more affordable, but the prices have come up. Now, the average price of homes now sold in the last year is $1.21 million. So a lot of people who lived in Burke before COVID ended up selling and moving to Fairfax Station and Clifton for the schools. There's less of HOA structure here than there is in Burke, and with older kids, people say it might be a little bit better because you may not want to pay for all the amenities and pools and things and the festivals and stuff that you've got in Burke. Now, what you get here is less planned community, but more like old-time, early suburbia where homes are more spread out. Lots of areas have no sidewalks, though. The lots are large, and you're far from your neighbors, which you might like. The roads are narrow and winding, and you'll have longer drives to get to schools and shopping. As to be expected, when areas are more spread out, many homes in Fairfax Station are also on well and septic, so keep that in mind. A lot of your houses here are going to have a walk score of like 1 or 0. I don't think there's a walk score of 0. I think it's 1. Anyway, just know that. If walkability is your thing, all right. Falls Church. So the average price overall for Falls Church is $1.08 million. Now, some Falls Church neighborhoods feed into McLean schools. The areas in Falls Church that feed to McLean are less expensive than living in McLean, but cost the same as maybe living in Vienna. So the average price on those homes is going to be $1.6 million. The area of Falls Church that feeds into Marshall High School with your Vienna students and families is going to include neighborhoods like Pimmott Hills and Falls Hill. These areas are somewhat more affordable compared to the rest of Falls Church, with the average price of $1.2 million. You have some serious outliers here, though, because it's worth mentioning the median price, which is $886,000. So you have a really good chance of getting a house under $1 million here. If you're interested in these two areas, we're going to having to do a search for you by school boundary or by zip code, and the zip code is 22043. So let us know if that is what you're interested in. All right, so next up is Reston. Now, when it comes to Reston, you have to be okay with the whole idea of a planned community and the Reston Association, which will have oversight over your own planned community. So you've got 2 levels of Big Brother you report to there. But people love it. The average price overall for Reston is just under $1.1 million. The northern part of Reston has higher priced homes, more so than the southern part and south of the toll road. The sense of community here in Reston is huge. The Reston video that Michael and I did is actually those continue to be some of the most popular videos on the channel. Now you have a lot of options here, from smaller homes to big McMansions if you want. Next up is Annandale. Annandale is kind of like, in a way, a hidden gem. People either love it or hate it, but of note here is the Truro section of Annandale. There's a great pool here, elementary school within walking distance, there's walking trails, it's all in very nice family-friendly package. In 2021, the Washington Post described Truro as a neighborhood where people come to live and they rarely leave. That is still true to this day. Because it's only a community of 360 homes, there's just not a lot of turnover. In the past year, only a handful of houses sold, and the average price, $980,000. But if you can get in, you might never leave, like Hotel California, Hotel Truro. I'm not very good at saying Truro. All right, if going farther out is an option, I've got a couple of honorable mentions for you. First up is South Riding. Now, South Riding is a community by Dulles Airport, 6,200 homes. South Riding often makes the best of lists on places like niche.com because of that whole sense of community. It's walkable, tons of family-friendly amenities. They've got 4 outdoor pools, 4 tennis courts, 10 playgrounds, hiking and biking trails, a beautiful library, good schools. You probably wouldn't want to commute to DC daily from here, but if you work in the tech corridor, this could be a really great option for you. Single family homes average 1.08 million. Because the community has a lot of townhomes though, I pulled that average price as well, and that was 701,000 for the past year. Just know that South Riding is just south of Dulles Airport. There are some parts, if you're sensitive to airplane noise, it's something that you might have to pay attention to. And then we've got Ashburn. So, wildly popular Ashburn sees most of the nice and many of the not so nice houses go under contract within a day. There just aren't a lot of homes for sale, and you have to move fast when they hit the market. With the addition of Metro, the elimination of lights on Route 7 west of Route 28, and more restaurants and shopping, the love for Ashburn keeps climbing and climbing and climbing. Make no mistake. It is suburban here, but the IT boom has resulted in continuous building and conveniences, and it makes it really hard to get in there, but people really love it. So that's that. I am Melissa Terzis. If you're interested in any of these areas, please contact me. My info is coming next.